Go by Jr Boogaloo, representing Machine Gun Funk, Motion Sickness Crew. Raised in West Coast, California, from the Bay to San Diego. And I've been dancing for like 40 plus years and still active, still dancing until this day. We're just gonna talk about how I got started and like everybody has a history. So like from what I saw and what I learned in the past, growing up. So mostly about roboting and strutting. Actually, when I start learning strutting was in the Bay, well, like in San Francisco, we always call it strutting, not popping, not boogaloo. So it was just like a term that, today everybody calls it popping. But us, we said strut, like, oh, look at them guys strutting over there. I'm about to go over here and, strut against this guy right here. But the strutting and the Fillmore strut is two different things, because when I was learning, this one guy was like, you know how to do the Fillmore strut? And I'm like, what is that? So it's almost like hands open, but a lot of people back in the days had their own like feeling, like their own. Some people had it. They look like army style, the hands very straight, and some people look like they were doing it, look like puppet because their hands were outside, and some people look like they were doing it like waving, so they were coming in and out, in and out. But I learned, well, he didn't really teach me, but I learned just watching him. His name was Tony Strutter. He was from the Bay, from San Francisco. When I was a kid, I was watching him. And there were some other guys, but I forgot their names. But me and my friend used to always like hide and watch them do like routines, and we would go back home and, try to practice it, like, oh, you went like this, oh, like that. But, we were young back in the days, maybe like 11 years old, maybe younger. And we would just copy whatever they did. But the more we learned about it, we kind of like got the movement, but we didn't understand. But if we had somebody, to mentor us, maybe we'll understand better. But the first group that I saw do a live show was Close Encounters of the Funkiest Kind. And I remember they came out of a spaceship, with fog and lights and all that stuff. And they used, what's that one group from Europe? Kraftwerk. The song was called Trans-Europe Express. And man, me and my friend were hypnotized, because his father ran like a hamburger stand at a theater. So he asked us if we wanted to come and, hang out. So we went over there. But I remember every weekend was like some rock concert. But he said, oh, by the way, tonight there's gonna be some street performers, doing a live show. We're like, what? So we went upstairs to watch, and we watched them, and we were like just blown away. I think it had to be like 1977. And they were doing like arm waves routines, the hookup, and like a lot of the like different name term that I learned from doing like strutting routines were like called a pickup. The pickup was like, if I did 4 counts, I'm going to repeat that 4 counts. And then I'm going to pick up this guy. Then we're going to pick up this guy. So we're all doing 4 counts, pickup. And then they had another term called odds and even, where like, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So all the numbers with 1, 3, 5, and 7 go on the first count, and then 2, 4, and 6 go on the second count. So that was called odds and evens. So then you had the dominoes. So the dominoes was like, if I do the first count, the next person to me do the second count. So it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So like, I remember when they learned like a step. So if they say, okay, we're gonna do this with odds and evens, and then we're gonna go back and do the pickup, and then we're gonna do the dominoes. So they already know, because they don't, everybody knows the term. So they could do a show like without practicing, because they all know, But it was like so fun to watch, because a lot of if you watch the military, they do a lot of they would call it like the ripple, like if you do da 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 da. So it was like domino effect. So that's how like the term when they do routines it's called the dominoes. So a lot of the strutting routines, like the hookup and like the domino effect, odds and evens, the pickup. There's one more that I forgot, but I can't remember. But anyways, going back before this, I learned robot first, and I learned from this guy named Jr. He used to wear like a brim, a hairnet, a long trench coat, and he was just always like roboting. And I was just like, wow, this guy was like my idol, watching him dance like every time. And I used to go home and practice like, I want to be like Robotron Jr. And I remember one night at the basketball gym, he battled this one guy. Actually, he was from the Fillmore, and the Fillmore was like a housing project. They had the Fillmore, they had Army Street, they had Hunters Point, they had Patrol Hill. They had different housing projects. So he was from the Fillmore. But when Robotron Jr., he battled him, they were going, round for round. So that guy was doing, some crazy legs, some footwork crazy legs. And I was like, wow, I never seen that before. And then Robotron Jr. just roboting, just roboting. So that guy did some other stuff, and then he started doing the Fillmore strut. I was like, damn, that's dope. And then, he just kept on changing. Wow, he knows how to robot too? Damn, he knows how to do everything. So I was like, I was seeing many different styles, he was doing. But Robotron Jr., he was just doing one style. And I was like, wow. Then Robotron Jr. was like, oh man, you got me, man, you got me. And I was like, wow. And then, I was like, wow, so there's more, other different styles out there. And that was the first time I some crazy legs, some Fillmore struts, some other kind of style. And I was like, wow, there's a lot to learn. Growing up, Heckle and Jekyll are the twins. They're like originally from the Bay Area, but they moved to Los Angeles. But I think it was 1978 when they came back to the Bay with Blue City Lockers, but they changed the name to the Blue City Strutters. It was Jack, Charlie, Heckle and Jekyll, The original. Was Michael Allo, Ted DeVoe, all from the Booyah Tribe, rest in peace. There's Sam Nico. Who was it? I think it was a couple of guys. But Jack and Charlie came back to the Bay, and Charlie, he battled Tony Strutter. And when I saw them battle, you know, it was the first time I saw like arm wave, twister flex. Charlie did the twister flex. Man, it was like 3D walk. Man, this battle was crazy. But when I asked Charlie about the twister flex, he was talking about Boogaloo Sam, and you know, from the Electric Boogaloos, and I never heard of him. And that was the first time that he, you know, I said, yeah, this is called the twister flex. Boogaloo Sam taught me, and you know, the Electric Boogaloos. So like when I was watching Soul Train, they said, yeah, we have a guest on our show, the Electric Boogaloos. I'm like, oh, that's the group Charlie was talking about. So like when I watched them, you know, I was like, wow, I became a fan, you know, because they did like a couple of performances on Soul Train. So like, you know, the more I started watching different shows, like the Gong Show, what else was that on? Dance Fever, Soul Train, yes, of course. But you know, we couldn't wait every weekend, you know, to watch these shows, because we know, like, you know, some street dances was gonna be on there. For me, when I was watching, like a lot of people do the Fillmore Strut, it's a different timing. You know, it's not like pop, pop, pop. It's more like a stop and go. You know, it's like almost like a dime stop, and you know, it's like this, that, So, and then the most important thing is like watching like a lot of people, like the footwork, you know, like the turn. But when you watch like Oakland Boogaloo, it's almost like the same movement, because they put out their hands, you know, like this, you know. And for me, like, that almost looks like the Fillmore Strut, you know, because we're going like this, here, that, here. But they're doing it like this, you know, going like this. I'm like, wow, that looks similar, you know. But it's like when you watch people dance back in the days, like, you kind of know where they're from, you know. Like a lot of people that did really good robot, like we knew like they could be from Richmond, you know. Like we saw people doing like Oakland Boogaloo, you know, like, oh, you're from Oakland. If you saw people doing like Fillmore Strut, oh, he's from the Bay. The Fillmore Strut contains like the footwork, you know, how you turn, and how you lift your leg up and your hips, and like the, you know, the going out with your hands, and of course like different timing. And but it was like not everybody did the Fillmore Strut the same, you know. It's like if you know, like you say this guy dances Boogaloo, you know, like Boogaloo Sam only dance like Boogaloo Sam, you know, like when he teaches Boogaloo style, that's his feeling. So it's like when you do it, you have your feeling, you know, because everybody has their own feel, and that's what, you know, music is about, is having your own feel, you know. There was a group, I think it was either Captain Crunch and the Funky Bunch, or it was Dr. Grave and the Cemetery Slaves. One of them two, but they danced to the Herb Albert, and like everything was slow, and they were doing like waving, and like it was like art, because they went with the song, and it was like amazing because it was like a lot of creativity, from that routine. And it wasn't just waving, it was like domino effect. It was like they even had a hat routine, and they had white gloves on and white suspenders. That's how I got started, from just watching like showcases like that. My opinion of people learning different styles, I mean, it's like nowadays a lot of the kids, they learn what they want, right? So like if one guy, he's like, I like robot, so I'm gonna robot, I don't care about the other styles. But it's like if you're doing like a performance with other people and you can't learn this movement or feeling or technique, it's gonna be hard for you. Or like if you're gonna battle somebody and they know how to do many different styles and you only have one style, it's gonna be hard to win. I always tell my students, like if you're really good in waving, you should learn King Tut, or Boogaloo or Puppet or Scarecrow, because for me, like learning other styles will help you to create more, because I know like a lot of kids, I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm doing the same thing. I said, because if you learn other things, you can learn how to create. Because like for me, I was really inspired by Skeet Rabbit from Electric Boogaloos. Rest in peace. When I watched him live and I saw him do like Boogaloo, Robot, Wavy, King Tut, Slide, this style, I was like, what? But not just do it. I mean, he did it at a high level. I was like, damn, this guy's crazy. But I was amazed. And when I went home, I couldn't sleep because I was like thinking like, wow, that was amazing what he did. I never seen anybody do that. I mean, like, just switch, like his feel, just switch his technique, like he was a different person every time. And I was amazed. I was like, man, I want my waving to be good. I want my King Tut to be good. I want my Boog to be good, like. So when I watched him, he really, because I was more like coming from learning strutting, robot, boogaloo, and then going into like my own is just start doing other stuff. Because when I saw I got inspired like watching people doing, like, say they did King Tut. I was like, wow, that's dope. I don't know. When I watched, waving, Boog, I want to do Boog, backslide, side slide, knee slide, I want to do that. So I was always inspired, learning and watching something new, you know what I mean? But I wasn't just like focused on one thing. I was always like, wow, I want to learn that, But it's like, don't forget what you learned. Like always keep what you learn. A lot of people like learn something like, okay, I want to learn this. This is the best, But actually it's like, you're learning everything, so it's like, don't forget what you learn. For me, like, I try not to forget what I learned. Or sometimes if I forget, I always go back and relearn it. Yeah. Now you have the internet. Back then, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have cameras. We didn't have schools. Now you have, like all the things that you can learn fast, like internet. And always research, like if you don't know something, research. If you don't have, like I was here, well, we don't have no info, we live far, like just try to contact the person, and like now you can learn online, like do like a video chat if you don't have the money to travel. But if you can, try to travel, and learn, or you can bring the person down, to your country. But there's so many ways now that you can learn. But research. If you have somebody want to learn popping and they never knew how to dance, so they're learning movement, but they're not learning the feel of dance. So it's like a person cannot learn popping. He has to learn, or she has to learn how to dance first and then learn the style. Because dance is first and then it's the style. So you have to learn how to dance first and then learn the style. It could be popping, locking, whatever. Because we're dancing a style, popping style, hip hop style, house style, whatever. But you have to learn how to dance. And for us, back in our generation, we learn how to dance, just dance. A lot of people call it party dance, but it was just like, okay, you do a move, I follow. It was just like a party dance, that's why it was called party dance. But actually, like when we went to house parties, little house parties, so we would dance with girls. So that's how we learn, by dancing with girls, because you watch a girl dance and you can feel what she's feeling, because she's listening to the music and she's just feeling what she's feeling. So you're like, yeah, okay, I feel what you're feeling. So you're trying to follow her movement. So for me, that's how I learned to dance, was from a girl, because it was that feel that, I wanted to feel what she was feeling. You know what I mean? So like the music, when I hear the music, when I watched her dance, I'm like, yeah, I can feel what you're feeling now, because the connection, So for me, that's why the dance is really important, is to learn how to dance first before you learn the dance style. For me, like how I got my dance, where it's at right now, I want to give like a big shout out to like, like all the cats from the Bay Area, from Oakland, from Stockton, my family in like Sacramento, and all my family like in Los Angeles, Carson, that's where I used to live. The Booyah tribe, like the DeVoe brothers, the original Heckle and Jekyll, Jack and Charlie, Pop and Pat, Robotron June, Tony Strutter, Fred Loud, and the Goatee Lockers, Crazy Crow from Anaheim, Skeet Pete from Electric Boogaloos, Boogaloo Sam, Sugar Pop, Jazzy J, Frank Boogie, and all the fam from Toronto, MGF, Motion Sickness, Shop Crew, Mechanical Strutters, Blue City, Close Encounters, Dr. Graven, Cemetery Slaves, Captain Crunch and Funky Bunch, Demons of the Mind, Granny and the Robotroids, the Black Resurgence. There's so many. There's like so many people that inspired me, and like just made me keep going. Like nowadays, like when I watch Pop and Pete and Sam and Pop and Wiggles, they're like, damn, shit. They're like still going, and I'm like, like to give me the drive, to keep going. But somebody asked me questions. So how long you think you're gonna dance for? I said, shit, until I cannot dance. That's how long I'm gonna dance for. So like, for me to be able to dance longer, I wanna, like make myself healthy and keep in shape, and because I want to dance longer. But dance for me is just a way of life, and it's like my passion. Like they say, what? Why you dance? Like, don't you get tired? I said no, because music. You know, I listen to music 24/7. It's like when I was young, I wake up with music and I sleep with music. That was the way of life.